We've talked about constructors previously, but now let's dive in a little bit more and explain exactly why constructors are important and explain a little bit this concept of overloading constructors, okay? Constructors, so again, constructors allow us to construct our objects upon creation, right? So if you go back main here, we were able to say ball, new ball, and then we pass in these parameters here, which in this case, they are part of instance variables of our object. So we're building an object from ground up. And then we learned that we can have multiple constructors in one class. As you can see here, we have this empty one, right? So that's just an empty constructor. And we have this constructor here with a few parameters here so that we can set up our object properly, right? So the idea of overloading a constructor allows us to have as many constructors as we want to have, right? So as you can see here, we have two constructors. We have this default one. We can call it default, okay? Default constructor is just empty one. And we have this constructor here, not a default, which means it has, we have few parameters that we're passing in. And we can, if we want, we can go ahead and create another one. So say public ball. And notice here what happens. The moment I just create another one the same as the default one, we have a problem because we can't have two constructors that are the same in a sense that they have the same signature or they have the same parameters or lack thereof. The concept of overloading allows us to have multiple constructors, right? But we need to make sure that each constructor that we create as overloading constructor has to have a different signature, has to have different numbers or different types of parameters. So in this case here, we can create this constructor here. We can just pass in string mColor and string mName like that, and that would work. So inside here we can say name, we can say color is equal to mColor. So we are passing the color inside here, right? And we can go ahead and say name. Okay, we give it mName like that. That's very, very much valid. As you can see, now we don't have an error. And if we go back to main here, right? So in this case here, we just used the default constructor to build this ball object, but we could have also said ball, my ball is equal to new ball. And the moment you close like this, then you have this help that pops up here. It says string mColor. So now it's showing parameters that we can use. We can use no parameters because remember we have that option, right? The constructor without any parameters, the default one, or we can use the second one here, which has to go, we have to pass in the color, name, capacity, or the one that we just did here, right? So we can use that. Black, and then we can say name, it's gonna be another ball like that. And that's totally valid. We can go back here if we wanted. We can create another one, right? We can keep going this, say public ball. And this time we have to obviously change. If we are going to have multiple constructors, we can have the same signature in each constructor. So that's the contract we have. So mName. And let's put here int mCapacity. Okay, that would work. We do the same. If I just go ahead and copy all of this here so we don't have to. So get rid of this, right? Same thing. As you can see, the only difference you have to remember, if we are overriding, we have to make sure that the signatures have to be different, which means the number of parameters must be different. Otherwise, they will be the same, and then we have issues. So overloading is very helpful because, as you can see, you can create different kinds or different types of constructors that you can use to instantiate your objects. Okay, so without any further ado, I'll just leave it at that right now and go ahead and look into this lecture and look at this code and try to come up with ways in which you can create different constructors and call them in the main here as you create different objects and see the difference. Okay? All right, so and I'll see you in the next video.